Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us at Axiom Real-Time Metrics to explore decentralized clinical trials and how Fusion eClinical Suite can play an integral role in their execution. My name is Jessica DeRoche, and I am a project manager here at Axiom Real-Time Metrics. Today, we will be going over what a decentralized trial, or DCT, is, how Axiom, through the use of technology and services, can support a DCT, along with walking through a case study of how we at Axiom have been able to support various DCTs throughout our 22 years of business. So let's dive into it. DCTs are defined as clinical trials that are conducted beyond the traditional in-person, center-based approach and executed remotely using virtual tools such as telemedicine, sensory-based technologies, wearable medical devices, patient-driven virtual healthcare, and direct delivery of study drugs and materials to patients' homes. The diagram presented on screen depicts true DCT elements, where all study team and patient interactions are able to effectively proceed without in-person contact. You can see that from the patient's onboarding to the study, their involvement with the study team, the retrieval and delivery of the drug or device, along with the reporting and collection of results are all executed remotely. Study designs that include these elements have been around for many years. However, you can imagine how important the flexibility of a DCT became throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, and even now as we are navigating through what clinical trials will look like in a post-pandemic world. Now that we have a general understanding of what a DCT is, let's discuss some potential benefits with using decentralized elements in a clinical trial. Starting off with the first benefit, we have provide more convenience to study participants. So DCTs allow for study assessments to be more naturally integrated into a participant's life rather than restricted to the confines of attending in-clinic visits, which can require coordination with multiple parties. Additionally, increased participation rates with DCTs. So DCTs remove logistical difficulties in accessing the trial location due to reasons such as travel limitations or work leaves and mobility challenges. This can also result in a more diverse target population when compared to traditional clinical trial constructs. Another benefit is reducing study-related costs and time for sponsors. So with the study activities being performed remotely, the need for a large study team decreases, which results in lower costs and time spent acquiring and training a study team. Additional fees, such as travel reimbursement, also no longer need to be considered for a DCT. Given these benefits, one of the most discussed challenges to implementing a DCT is not having the technology to readily support the needs of virtual assessments performance and data collection, along with a team to support the use of technology. This is where Axiom Fusion eClinical Suite comes in. Axiom's proprietary software Fusion is a truly unified eClinical platform that serves as a connected hub for all study data. Through the use of a single web-based login, the study team, sponsors, vendors, CROs, and more will have complete real-time 24/7 access to all information applicable to their trial. Here at Axiom, we take a modular approach where the base electronic data capture tool can be combined with various modules dependent on the study needs. Because the platform is unified, each module seamlessly integrates with one another, eliminating the need for manual processes to transfer one subset of information to another. An example of this would be AE/SAE tracking. In Fusion, abnormal patient-reported outcomes can be identified by subjects through their data entry in the ePro or eDiary phone application. They can then be documented as AEs or SAEs within EDC by the study team. The data entry can then be reviewed for alignment with the study protocol via automatic checks within the Edit Check module. It can be coded as per the latest MEDRA dictionary using the coding module, and then reported as per regulatory body requirements within our safety module. It doesn't end there. The entered data can then be extracted from Fusion in various formats such as Excel, SAS, PDF, and CSV, which can then facilitate the review of risks, trends, and so much more. Given the web-based electronic nature of Fusion, all of these modules can be used simultaneously to run a DCT. So, Now we have a solution to the technology challenge of running a DCT. What about the challenge of people? The key to ensuring a DCT is executed effectively is ensuring that the team involved, 1, understands the technology being used, and 2, is able to use the technology to effectively communicate and collaborate on all the needs for the trial. In addition to the technology, Axiom also provides various services facilitated by the people that are integral to promoting the success of a DCT execution. Similar to the modular approach seen with our technology, Axiom services can be combined to provide full service support for a trial, or sponsors can pick and choose which services would be of use based off of their internal study team. From management of the technology, the data, CTM, safety, operations, and monitoring, Axiom really is your one-stop shop to oversee and lead the execution of a DCT. For established study teams that have the means to effectively communicate and collaborate on trial needs, that maybe need assistance in understanding and using Fusion's technology, Axiom's training and eClinical management teams provide extensive trainings and user tools to educate the teams and fill in any gaps on how end users' roles can be executed remotely using Fusion. Expert study support, coupled with the 24/7 customer care support team, ensures that regardless of one's choice to use Axiom services or not, the people involved in the DCT will have access to the knowledge and resources required to support the technology. Okay, so we have now identified how the DCT challenges of technology and people have solutions using Fusion eClinical Suite and Axiom services. If we combine this with client interaction, where ongoing collaboration, feedback, and innovation is executed on a daily basis, the result is a unified study team that can efficiently act on all critical elements. Let's move into a case study. So using this case study, we're going to be examining how Axiom's technology and services were able to facilitate a decentralized trial. For the purposes of this webinar, I will be using alternative names just to maintain confidentiality. We have received a study protocol that is looking to perform a decentralized trial to determine the degree of concordance between a new detection device, which for the purposes of this webinar, we're going to call XX123, and authorized detection device, which we're going to call XX456. And these are going to be used for the qualitative detection of antigen Z for self-administered use at home. This study will follow subjects through a one-time use of each detection device upon confirmation of them meeting all eligibility criteria. So now that we know what the study is all about, let's take a look at what study assessments we have. So in addition to capturing eligibility, the sponsor is looking to collect informed consent or assent, demographics, clinical presentation of symptoms, antigen exposure history, specimens for both devices, so XX123 and XX456, and the testing results, comparison of results between these two devices, and then any AEs or SAEs that are acquired throughout the study. In addition to these results, the sponsor is also looking to have this centralized within a single database for easy monitoring and review. So we already know that Axiom's Fusion eClinical Suite provides the unified platform the sponsor is looking for, but let's take a closer look at how our modules and services can support all study phases from start to finish. So starting out with subject recruitment and enrollment. There are many Axiom modules that contribute to this phase of a DCT, but today we are going to focus on study startup, e-consent, and pre-screening. The study startup module allows all applicable parties to manage, review, and approve all study startup materials. From budgets, CTAs, informed consent forms, and regulatory submissions, these are all centrally housed and accessible via your Fusion URL. This allows for more efficient reviews and collaboration between any vendors and ultimately a quicker turnaround time to get the study up and running. So now we are ready to begin enrolling subjects. We need to come up with a solution to capturing subjects' consent electronically. Because remember, this is a DCT, So healthcare practitioners are going into a subject's home to oversee this device use. Fusion's eConsent module allows for just that. It can help inform the subjects on the details of the study and digitally record the subject's consent to proceed with participating in the study. This information is then directly and securely stored within Fusion and is accessible via the same URL with that study startup information. Next, we want to ensure that during this phase, we are reviewing not only the enrolled subjects, but also taking a look at our ineligible subjects. This will ensure the sponsor is able to advise on any concerns and adjust accordingly to ensure the current protocol is aligned with their expectations for execution. Fusion's pre-screening log module, again with the same web-based URL, allows for the tracking and identification of any criteria that are negatively impacting enrollment. For service support, our clinical, project, and eClinical management teams, along with our remote monitoring and training teams, will be of great importance for ensuring that the study starts off on the right foot. Moving on to our project and eClinical management teams, these teams will directly work with the sponsor to ensure all study needs are met and that all teams and technology involved remains on track to meet any study milestones. Looking at our remote monitoring team, this team will work with the sponsor to ensure all activities are being executed safely and as per protocol. And lastly, we have our training team. So this team is super important in ensuring all parties involved with using the Fusion technology feel educated and supported throughout their role. Let's move on to the next phase, which is data collection and study management. Again, we have many modules that can help facilitate the technology needs for this phase of a study, but we'll be walking through a select few applicable and used for the DCT that we're discussing within this case study. So starting off with our base foundational module, which is EDC, or electronic data capture. This is where the users are going to enter all of their eCRF pages. This is where the edit checks are consolidated, and this is where data review between all applicable parties will be taking place. Again, just going back to our last study phase, this phase involves all of these modules that are incorporated within that single sign-on unified platform. Next up, we're going to be going over the AE/SAE tracking. So we did discuss this a little bit earlier in the webinar as an example, but for this study, we did want to have those AEs and SAEs recorded within the same unified platform. So we're using this module to track those events. Within the module, we also implement real-time email notifications, which will ensure a timely response for any activities that need to proceed. And again, that this module is integrated with our safety module for generation and submission of all regulatory items. Up next, we have protocol deviations. So this module will automatically flag data entry that deviates from the study protocol. It allows for that centralized tracking and reporting of all of the deviations to ensure that everyone is aware and can act accordingly to ensure that next steps are followed through and any action items are also assigned. So our next module is the eDiary mobile and web application. So this module allows for subjects to directly record eDiaries in a customized portal that's integrated with EDC. So essentially for this study, we did have subjects entering in the symptoms that are related to the antigen detection. These eDiaries were then directly transferred into Fusion, and this is accessible for all of the subjects via any web platform, mobile device, or tablet. The automatic syncing directly into Fusion ensures that sponsors and all end users are able to receive that information as it's coming in real time without the need of any additional transfers between healthcare practitioner and the subject. Next up, we'll move into CTM tracking. So for this study, we were providing global awareness of inventory shipments, receipt, accountability, and related activities. So Specific to this study, we did have shipment of the drug and device to the healthcare practitioner. That was then brought to the subjects' homes for them to execute the device use, which again was self-administered. So for the CTM tracking module, we were tracking the shipments of the devices to those healthcare practitioners and then recording accountability to the individual subjects as they proceeded with the testing of those devices. And our last noted module here for this case study in this phase is the eTMF module, or the Electronic Trial Master File. And this is to store and manage and QC all of the study-related documents. So of course, throughout our data collection and our study management phase, we're going to have a lot of documents that are going to be fully executed related to all aspects of the study, and those will be filed accordingly within our eTMF. In addition to the modules listed on screen, we also have payment tracking, general log, risk management, and so much more that can be used to help facilitate the activities needed during this phase. As for service support, our clinical, project, and eClinical management teams will continue their roles within the study. The data management team will now come into play to complete data review. They will help facilitate real-time data listings and reports along with the project team to allow the sponsor to have consistent access to the data being retrieved within Fusion. Our RTSM team will facilitate the activities involved with the CTM tracking module for this study, but they are also our randomization subject matter experts. So they oversee this activity of randomization for all studies that include that within their protocol. And of course, we will have our customer care team on standby 24/7 for any end user related scenarios. Lastly, let's move into our data analysis and study closeout. So on screen, we have 3 modules that are applicable to this phase, but again, our modules listed throughout the study management phase as well as study startup can be used throughout the entirety of the study. For this portion, we'll be focusing on edit check module, the coding module, and the data export module. As we saw with our example earlier on in the webinar, the edit check module has ongoing automatic data cleaning to ensure expected data entry is being performed. Our coding module also allows for the automatic coding using Medra and Hudra. And lastly, we have our data export module. So this allows for on-demand extracts of all study data in Excel, Access, and SAS formats. So these are all really important as we end up wrapping the study and were used for this individual study within the company as well. In terms of services, we do have the continued support of our clinical management, project and eClinical management, data management, RTSM, and customer care. The teams that come into play a little bit more within this phase of the study is our data analytics teams, our PV teams, and our biostats teams. So for these teams, we do have a lot of collaboration at the end of the study. They are available and were used throughout the study management phases as well. But at the end of our study, we're really looking to get those final deliverables, such as our patient profiles and TLFs. So that's when these teams play a larger part in their role. Through this case study, we were able to see the technology combined with the people to actually execute a decentralized clinical trial. This does conclude our webinar for today. So on behalf of Axiom, thank you for joining us. And if you have any questions or want any additional information, feel free to contact us at our website, and we'll be in touch soon. Thanks, everyone.